Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could teach the gullible to never be so comfortable with lies they eat like comfort food, to disregard the bogus claims and pseudoscientific claims? Can you imagine just how much indeed the world would change? No more political predators playing on the populace with ilkas and plots to shift and kill metropolis. No more villains with the title in the Bible holding phony temper Bibles like the stuff they teach is vital. Imagine it was normal to have to prove a claim you make, and folks really feel ashamed expressing content that was fake. It's not to say we never make mistakes, it's just to say we go out of our way to show the evidence it takes.
Remain skeptical while you travel the road of reason. Stay strapped with logic and fast. That's what it is, yo. Keep reality intact to help the truth grow. Question every claim, especially the ones you believe in. Remain skeptical while you travel the road of reason.
I was just getting into that music. Hi, this is the Road to Reason, a skeptic's guide to the 21st century. And today I actually get to sit in the hosting seat. Last time I was on this show, I don't know if anyone remembers, but I was in your position. This is Grace Tollini. She's my guest today.
Hi, everybody. I'm very pleased to be here in Road to Reason. It's my first time. And I actually know Eric for a long time, over 10 years.
Too long.
we used to belong to the same atheist meetup.
Yeah.
And my memory of him was that he used to cross out "In God We Trust" from dollar bills.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. Still
and
do
I
it.
thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, it's been a few years. Matter of fact, today's actually my birthday.
Oh,
I'm actually
birthday.
spending my birthday time with everyone here on the Road to Reason, which
that's
I think
very
is
cool.
Pretty appropriate.
As long as people don't, call you all day long now with happy birthday.
Thank you. And today, remind everyone if they want to donate to the Road to Reason. Do we have the check on the line? We have a check we're going to show you with the address and the whatever you want to donate will go to the Road to Reason for programming costs and for the station to keep us on the air. None of this is free. Please help us out. It would be much appreciated. So, what have we learned in the news this week?
Oh my God. Well, my God, but anyhow, that's a bad habit.
Which one?
The truth is that every single day you see in social media articles, or all over the internet, articles that just makes you roll your eyes. There's always some either GOP politician or a pastor or a priest that molested somebody, or it's constant in the news.
Well, did you hear the recent one? Was it Ben Affleck and Bill Maher?
Oh yeah, that was very interesting. Ben Affleck became very upset. You could see his nostrils were flaring, and he was...
Because someone criticized Islam, and we got to be politically correct here and everything.
And the thing is that it's a very complex subject. Nobody is completely right or wrong. I think Bill Maher and Sam Harris were just saying that of course there is a group of jihadists, a group of extremists within the Muslim community, but he actually mentioned the concentric circles, how the jihadists would be like a smaller circle, and then you have maybe, how many Muslims are there in the world? 1.2 billion, right?
That's what Sam Harris has been saying that ever since his book, The End of Faith. In that book, he actually said that, he's talking about Christians in this case, that the very radical Christians, and on the Christian side you have people like the Westboro Baptist Church.
Right.
And then you have the sort of the Orthodox fundamentalist Christians who support them, who think the Westboro Baptist Church is a little bit off, but at least their head is on the right...
Like the Orthodox Jews,
yeah.
They also
at least their head is in the right place, even if they're a little bit... overboard,
right?
And then you have the strong believers who believe that those Orthodox evangelicals are, at least they're Christians, are on the right page, even though they're a little bit over the hill, over the edge a little bit.
The same principles,
and eventually you get down to the progressives who support the whole thing too.
No, but the progressives, I think, in my opinion, is as long as you say I'm a Christian or I'm a Muslim or I'm a Jew, you are condoning or you're following the book from that religion. So in a way, you believe in that, or otherwise you wouldn't call yourself that, from that religion. So it's a silent support. They're not actively promoting violence or promoting misogyny or anything, or racism, but in a way they are condoning it, right?
And the thing is that the media coverage of something like this is unbalanced, because you have, Ben Affleck, what is he? He's an actor.
A movie director.
Which is ironic, since one of his main points was, Bill Maher, you are an expert on Islam, apparently, to be able to say that. And who's telling us? Bill Affleck.
And Sam Harris is. He's a philosopher. He's extremely knowledgeable about religion.
But Ben friggin' Affleck is the expert because he's politically correct, so he's on the right side.
And I think he has an eye in politics too.
He does. Yeah. A lot of them do.
Right.
But it's a complicated issue, because
it's complex because, for example, I was raised Catholic. I was brainwashed into all the Catholic precepts and all the angels and the devil and all those Bible stories. But I was very skeptical since a very early age, and one thing that I noticed talking to other atheists is that they all went through the same process. A lot of them started doubting things when they were children, like, this doesn't make sense, right?
Well,
and so there's a lot of cultural religious people. What I'm saying is that Brazil is an example, this is the country I was born, that a lot of people, they're just cultural Catholics. They don't really go to church on Sundays. They don't really follow or read the Bible, but they call themselves Catholic, and with pride. Oh, I'm Catholic.
Well, especially with our new Pope we have, who's also been in news recently.
Oh, such a nice Pope.
Oh, he's a very nice Pope.
Such a good PR guy.
I mean, he even says that atheists can go to heaven. I mean, how more progressive?
Nice is he?
But if you actually look at the policies that the Pope supports, it's pretty much the same policies that we've had all along. It's just that he's a nice face for it. He's a lot better than Ratzinger.
Yeah, he's much more charismatic and charming, and he tries to look liberal. I mean, many of the things.
What did he say recently?
Well, so he does pander a lot to liberals and Democrats in this country, because he talks a lot about equality, right? And social injustice. But like you said, he still follows the Catholic precepts, and a lot of them are, against homosexuals, and still women are inferior in society. And but lately, he actually said that he believes in angels, and that angels can guide us. Really? I mean, how childish can that be?
Well, you still have. Recently, also, you had. What's the Supreme Court Justice? Scalia.
Oh, yeah.
He says he believes in demons. And recently, also in the news, he said that it's constitutionally valid to favor one religion over another.
And that's not in the Constitution. I mean, he should know better.
In fact, there's no religious test for public office according to Article 6 of the Constitution, but who am I to say?
Well, remember that many American states, if you're atheist, you cannot run for office if you're declared atheist, right?
Well,
so I think there
yes
are
and no.
7 states.
I think that officially that's still on the books. However, every time it's been challenged since then, it's been completely knocked down.
I think it's unconstitutional.
I think it's on paper only right now.
Well, I think Maryland is one of those states, the state that I live in.
Well, what we still doesn't prevent people from being prosecuted for unconstitutional things. For example, recently we had this young gentleman who how old was he? Like 14 years?
Oh, 14-year-old. He's a kid.
Yeah.
He was playing. He was joking.
He got on top of a statue to hey, look at me, I'm mounting a statue of Jesus, and he
put his crotch on it was the Virgin Mary, right?
Yeah.
And like the Virgin Mary was, giving him, what.
Frankly, I thought that was kind of funny.
It is.
Yeah, I've seen similar pictures on the internet of people doing that to other artwork and other. There's a famous one of Jesus with his arms stretched out, and people next to him doing the YMCA next to him, and stuff like that. It's freedom of speech. It's humor.
As far as I know, blasphemy is not a crime in this country, right?
No, but the guy was charged, actually, it would have been okay if they charged him with maybe trespassing, or if he actually harmed the statue, of saying that he harmed the statue. You can paint it.
You could destroy it,
Yeah, but he didn't do that. And he got charged with desecration. He got 350 hours of community service. He had a curfew, and among other things. And the thing about it is it's okay as it goes. But then the prosecutor said that he was glad, first of all, that no activists challenged the religious rule, which he's trying to lend credence to the fact to his idea that this is not against the Constitution. And then he made sure to emphasize that he's glad the boy did apologize in the name of Jesus, as if that has relevance to the case. And it also brings home that this is about desecration, and not just, they made fun of their picture.
He could just say, I'm sorry I did that, I'm sorry if I offended somebody, but not say anything about Jesus or anything. I mean,
I don't think it was any kind of religious statement on his part. I don't think he did that to make a free speech, like, here I'm going to be against religion somehow. I think his family is basically religious themselves, and he's just out there goofing off on a statue. Not that it was a religious statue or anything else. He was just goofing off on a statue. But it's a religious statue. It's Jesus. How can you do something to Jesus? And,
it's a statue.
It's a statue. The guy would not have been charged with this if it was the Big Boy statue in front of the restaurant. If you remember the Big Boy restaurants, or the McDonald's statue in front of a McDonald's restaurant or something. They'd be like, okay, get off the statue, go home, I'm going to tell your parents.
Well, Marco Rubio was another one that mentioned that the foundation of this country is God. So basically he's saying that the Christian God, of course, is the basis of everything in this country. And
even though most of the Ten Commandments are unconstitutional, illegal actually. You can't control what people covet. Matter of fact, that's the basis for our economy.
In other countries, you don't see, in other democratic countries, especially in Europe, you don't see politicians or presidents saying the word God. And as much as, I think President Obama is a modern, open-minded guy, but he ends every speech with God bless you and God bless America. Of course, he's trying to pander to all the,
But we really need to get to our main topic. Today we're going to talk about a book I just got right after this break. We're going to talk about the Awkward Moments Children Bible, which should be very interesting.
There's an alarming trend in the world today. Everywhere you go, people are saying that cinema is dead. But cinema is not dead. My name is Count Simon Gauntley, and on my television program, Count Gauntley's Horrors from the Public Domain, I make it my mission to resurrect forgotten film classics. I promise to dredge the sewers and ford the stagnant streams of film history to ensure that no film is truly lost to the ages. Count Gauntley and FPA, keeping cinema alive! Alive! Alive!
Well, even though Joseph's been gone 18 months, we've made the decision to keep all his things as they were when he was here last. I finally just packed his toothbrush away like 6 months ago. It had been sitting on the counter in the bathroom. And I was cleaning the bathroom one day and I just thought, okay, it's time to put the toothbrush in the medicine cabinet.
So, I just moved in with his family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that! That's disgusting! Oh, poop already! You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
This is Richard Dawkins. Doing commercials is unfamiliar territory for me, but I'm inviting you to watch Road to Reason, a skeptic's guide to the 21st century, on Fairfax Public Access every Sunday. Each week the hosts tackle wishful thinking, religion, pseudoscience, and the harm they cause, with a combination of facts, humor, and community involvement. They challenge believers to defend their faith and give you, the skeptic, a voice. With live call-ins for viewers and streaming on the World Wide Web, there's never a dull moment. Don't wait. Look at them now on Facebook and YouTube, and remember to watch Road to Reason, a skeptic's guide to the 21st century, or there'll be hell to pay.
And we're back. And before we get to our main topic today, I wanted to sort of mention how, well, the main topic today is about how people take parts of the Bible that they want sort of
cherry pick.
They cherry pick, right. And they tend to not, they tend to gloss over things that are against what they want to believe. And I'll give you a good example of this. In the Bible, it says to pray in public, in private. And you see all the politicians in public. And recently I just started a new job, and so my car has been in basically a new parking lot for a while. And after about a week there, I noticed someone had put a Starbucks napkin on my windshield. I don't know if we can show it here, but the napkin says, you have the image? The napkin says that this lady, there we go, I'm praying the rosary every day for you. Signed, a Christian woman from the building. So there's several points I wanted to say about this. One is a Christian woman from the building, so she doesn't want to say who she is because she doesn't want to be associated with the atheist in the building. Or there's nothing that I can say that she would want to hear, which is sort of a one-way conversation. But it's not really a one-way conversation either. It's sort of, I want you to overhear what I'm telling God about you, which is either that she wants to warn me that, hey, I'm telling Daddy, I'm doing the rosary, you better watch out.
It's very self-righteous, right?
It's a little self-righteous, yeah. And if it's a conversation between her and God, why tell me?
Right.
But this happens a lot. There's a lot of things in the Bible that people don't realize are there, that they probably would not be as supportive of the Bible if it was there. I recently got this book called The Awkward Moments Children Bible, which is not really a children's Bible. It's not meant for children. It has nice, pretty children's pictures. Here's the cover of it, showing Satan saying, "Hey, why are you being so?" He looks like he's looking up to God and saying, "Why are you killing all these people here? All the tombstones." And the little bunny rabbit's very cute. And what I like about it is the illustrations in the book are modern illustrations put on the biblical verses, so you can sort of see.
But if it's, you said it's not really for children, but...
Oh, well, the Bible itself isn't really for children.
But the Awkward Children's Bible, would that be okay to show to a smart child and just to start showing them the inconsistencies?
I think so. I mean, the advisory on there was actually put on there by the author himself, just sort of to gain publicity for his book. But really, the stuff in there is stuff that is actually in the Bible. for example, in the Bible, is not really against slavery. Matter of fact, in the Civil War, they actually used the Bible to promote slavery. And here's a picture from the book, and you can see, I don't know, I'm not sure if this is what you would show a child, but it's showing how the Bible says. Yeah, so the Bible says basically for slaves to obey your human masters with deep fear and
the guy has a whip.
Oh, yeah.
And the slaves are chained to each other. I mean, that's a horrible message. And but you know, remember, I mean, I remember when I used to go to mass as a child, even as a teenager. I don't remember ever the priest mentioning all the bad stuff from the Bible.
Oh yeah, and the same the book in 1 Timothy 6:1-2, it even says, especially if your masters are Christian masters, treat them very good because they're good people. So,
well, remember, the Bible was written...
good slave-owning people.
The Bible was written in an era, let's say the Middle Ages, where slavery was accepted. Oh yeah. Right? And if you were an infidel, remember the Crusades and everything. Well, people
want to forget the Crusades because that's not.
Well,
that wasn't real Christians.
Well, people were burned. Witches were. Anybody who dared doubt.
That's also biblical. You're supposed
to so that was the era when those Bible texts were written by several scholars from the time, and that was the culture of the time. So it's reflecting something that is extremely old, and times have changed.
But if you look at the verse from that page, the first one was Ephesians 6:5. If you actually look at 6:1-3, they're talking about also children obey your mother and father. So they directly segue from children obey your mother and father to slaves obey your masters, and also in the Bible, women obey your husbands.
Right. But that was like the culture of the time.
It was a culture of the time, but that's the thing, is that morality evolves over time. Eventually we get over our inequalities. It's only been the last 100 years that the world has finally, for the most part, to allow women to vote.
We've had enormous progress in the 20th century, actually, when it comes to women's rights and when it comes to acceptance of homosexuality more and more. So, so reading the Bible and interpreting the Bible as something that is a fundamental truth no longer is valid. And unfortunately, many of these evangelical churches, they treat the Bible as something that you need to follow.
Well, the Bible is all about conformity, and you're supposed to follow. And a matter of fact, you're even supposed to follow after you're dead. You know that?
Oh, really?
Yeah, even after you're dead.
What do you do after you're dead?
Well, if you look at Ezekiel 37:1-10. They needed some people for their army, and so they reinstated the draft. They took all these retired and long dead people, pulled their bones out of the ground, put all the sinew and the muscle back in the bone, and off they went to war again. Isn't that nice?
It's amazing because once you grow up and you're mature, they say that at the age of 7 is when your brain starts getting more mature, and that's when you should start questioning things.
Well, I'll tell you, if they would have highlighted this verse in the Bible when I was young, I might have been more interested in it. I mean, you know how the zombie movies are these days. Very popular.
Right.
I might not have believed it.
It's a good story.
It's a good story.
Yeah, it's scary, it's funny,
But, and a little scary. I mean, we're talking about the violence in the Bible. It's not the only zombie story in the Bible, you know that? After Jesus' resurrection.
Another zombie?
Well, that was another zombie, but actually there's verses that said all the dead Jews were risen out of their graves, and March for Christ.
Right, right. So, you know, there's many reasons why all of us became atheists, and I think you were also raised with religion, right?
Yeah, I was raised with Luther.
And basically it is to have critical thinking and to have a skeptical mind. Some people have more than others. For example, I think that child that finds out that there's no Santa Claus when they're young is probably the same child that's going to question the religion that's imposed on them, right?
Yeah.
But some people continue with this cognitive dissonance for years and years, and they just don't question things. So if you don't think about it, you don't question it, you just stay. You just go on, going to church, repeating the same. You don't really even think about it.
And you know what the worst part is even when people stop being religious. Like my parents, they were religious, but they weren't necessarily like evangelical. They thought it was a good idea to go to church. For what reason?
Tradition.
Nope, not tradition.
No.
What was the main reason to send your kids to church?
Because they would get some good moral values?
Good moral values, exactly. And people think that the Christian religion is all about moral values.
Morals, yeah.
Oh, how good was Jesus and our example to follow, and don't do adultery.
Absolutely. I am an example of somebody who I had a long route of self-discovery and questioning. And of course, the thing that really made me think was when I started reading more about science. And I'll never forget, I was 17 and I came across a issue of Scientific American.
Right.
On the cover of the magazine, there was the evolution from monkey to man or woman, and that made me start thinking, questioning creationism too. But a lot of people don't have an opportunity of having contact with science. Once you know science, you see it doesn't make sense with what religion teaches us.
But it's hard to do that when you're taught from an early age this conformity. I mean, look at the last verses. Look at the verses we just looked at were all about conformity.
Right.
And they also teach their morality. What they don't realize is that the Bible really doesn't support their morality.
Well, the Bible supports some terrible things.
For example, incest. Do you know there's incest in the Bible?
Oh, wow.
Matter of fact, not only incest, but having sex with your dad.
Wow.
Matter of fact, not only having sex with your dad, but trying to get pregnant with your dad.
Hey, I think in those days they didn't know anything about biology and how if you have a child with a close relative, there's some dangers. But
doesn't this look like a nice close family? They're all getting together, having a good time. However, I will say that this picture is inaccurate because what they did was they got their dad so drunk that he did not realize that they were having sex with him.
Okay.
Which never happened to me.
I mean, that is almost like from a pornographic movie. It shouldn't be in the Bible. Yeah?
But that's like, but the whole story a lot is like the icing. That was the icing on the cake. If you go back again to the previous verses leading up to it, first of all, he's in this city and they want to destroy the city because the city is so evil. This is the whole Sodom and Gomorrah thing, right? And Lot is this chosen by God who is he says, no, I can find some good in this city, and he goes and tries to find the good in the city, and he can't find any. So what does he do? God says, okay, I got to destroy the city, and he says, oh, at least save my daughters and everyone in my house. And the mobs lined up outside the house, and
God playing favorites again.
Yeah, a little bit. But these angels came to his house, and so he hosted the angels. And then the mobs came, and Lot did not want the angels going to the mob because angels are these helpless, defenseless, immortal beings that can't defend themselves. So he offered his children, his daughters, his virgin daughters, by the way, to the mob. Isn't that nice?
Oh, wow.
He says, please, have my daughters, they're virgins, do what you want with them. And
women were like objects, right? I mean, and the father or the male in the family had total control over them.
Oh, yeah. And, if you look at the Ten Commandments, what's the last commandment? The last 2 commandments, actually. It depends on how you number them. It's basically don't covet your neighbor's house or his oxen or his wives or his slaves or anything else your neighbor owns.
Right, so the woman is property of the man.
Just like the oxen. That seems pretty ridiculous these days. But you got to remember that women's suffrage has only been in the world for about 100 years now. Right. Out of the thousands of years.
Oh yeah.
And they're still pulling the morality from 2,000 years ago, trying to say, well, God said so.
Yeah, I think that the Bible should be a historic book that you have in an old bookstore, you know, that is like fiction. It should be in the fiction section, obviously.
It is a historic book. I mean, there's a lot of things you can get from the Bible about what life was like back then, and there's a lot of important from an anthropological point of view, a historic point of view. For example, the Great Flood. You know, maybe there was a big flood. Maybe there was a lot of rain. There's always lots of floods.
But there's always floods.
There's actually lots of flood stories from back then. As a matter of fact, the flood story was based on the Babylonian flood story before that.
Right, and whoever wrote the Noah's Ark story, maybe there was a very bad storm or a big flood and a lot of people died, but they had no notion of what the world was, and then it's extrapolated to that the whole world was flooded by God, and then Noah had to build the ark, and there's so many inconsistencies with the Noah Ark story. It's just physically impossible, right, to put all these animals in the. Anyhow, it's just.
Well, let's go to the next page of this book. I did really enjoy flipping through these because some of the illustrations are sort of like the modern. Here you see like a modern office building.
Right.
They don't just do the biblical times version of what happened, but here is John 7:53. If you look at it, you see that we're still missing something, a hero's conflict maybe. What if we added the old damsel in distress bit? And you know, everyone loves that stuff. We can put up there and frame them. And basically, this is a sort of a theme. You know, the same as the Hollywood. A lot of stuff in the Bible is added in there just for effect. Like, you think, you know, well, why did they do it that way? It's like, well, you had to do it because of effect. The whole women from Adam's rib. You know, God just created the whole universe. First of all, on the first day, He created the whole universe, which was, I would think, would take a little longer than that, given how long He took for the rest of the stuff.
Right.
But at the end, He's like, Adam was lonely, and he needs to have a companion. So let me take out Adam's rib and make a woman. You know, he didn't have to do that.
But you know, I think that most moderate religious people don't really believe in this story. I mean, come on.
You'd be surprised.
Oh my, I can't believe it.
Well, think of it this way. If they didn't believe in the story, then they don't really have a faith, because why was...
But they cherry pick.
Yeah, but look, I'm talking about their basics. What's the basic tenet of Christianity? What's the if you believe in Christ, to do what?
Help me that.
To wash away your sins.
Right.
So the whole religion is based on this idea that even when you're born, you have this taint of original sin.
Right.
Where did that taint come from?
Well, it came from the woman, and you know,
in Genesis.
And then, yeah.
Right. The whole Genesis story, which nobody really believes literally now.
Right.
If you take away the Genesis story, you take away original sin. Jesus never had to die.
Right.
And the whole of Christianity kind of collapses in it.
Yeah, falls like a house of cards.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the whole, you know, so he has to have some effect in there for it to work. I mean, again, with the flood we talked about, why did he have to bring a flood for 40 days and 40 nights, and which is also a great children's story about genocide and killing all the little cute animals.
Right.
I like how the Awkward Moments Bible did the Adam the rib removed from Adam.
By the way, men and women have the same number of ribs.
Oh yeah, but in the book they actually had him in a bathtub full of ice, like the old conspiracy theory about if you go in a hotel room and someone harvests your organs.
Right.
He sort of had him in the bathtub full of ice, with a little note that says "Call 911." And
right.
You see the scalpel and the blood around the drum. Very funny. If you want, I'm not to push any specific guy's book, but I heard this guy talk, and it's very funny.
Right, but
I really enjoyed it
I think I'm an optimist that I think just a small number of Christians really take that story as truth, take it literally. I think most people see it as allegoric and like many parts of the Bible, but they still call themselves Christians, and you know, especially liberal Christians, they see Jesus as this benevolent guy who's a good guy who helped the poor,
right.
And then they forget about all the horrible stories of the Bible.
A lot of those stories, they sound like someone on drugs, really.
Oh yes.
If you look at, for example, Moses in the burning bush, the guy's up by himself. He sees this bush burning, and God writing these 10 Commandments, which for some reason we don't have a copy of these days because they were only written in stone.
Right.
This was also in the in the book. You can see Moses sitting there with his snake, and he's worried that the Israelites wouldn't believe in his God that appeared to him. So God, the bush, turned Moses' walking staff into a snake, which apparently was something that any court magician in the day could do.
Right.
So God, to show his power, did a trick that everybody else could already do in the day.
Right. And you know, Eric, that many of the stories of the Bible, they could be explained with scientific terms nowadays. You know, like Jesus walking on water on the Red Sea.
Hallucination.
Or, yes. And so, you know, I think that
Paul in his conversion in the wilderness, hallucination.
Right.
They did a lot of drugs back then, I think.
You were munching on some herbs or something, you know. But I really think that most there's a lot of religious people that are intelligent and educated, and they call themselves Catholic or Christian basically because of tradition or because it's cultural, but they don't really believe in all these things, you know. So the Bible is really a fiction book with a few good moral lessons, but the morality, it doesn't come from the Bible. Morality comes from us living in groups and living in society. We evolved, you know. We're animals that evolved.
People like the idea that there's this guy in the sky somewhere.
It's a need for a
making
daddy.
all the rules.
Right.
No matter how out of control your life is, there's this sky sort of creator, ruler with the puppet strings.
They like that idea. It's a need for a daddy, a need for an authority figure, you know. And
it is really a true need, though, because they've done studies, and they did studies with monkeys, for example, like monkeys in 2 cages where the cages were electrified, and this one monkey was trained to pull this lever to turn off the electricity, and when it happened to him, he could turn it off himself. What happened to the monkey in the other cage, he can see that happening and turn it off for the other monkey.
Okay.
And it turned out that the monkey that was in the cage without the control had more ulcers, or actually had fewer ulcers than the one that was in control.
Wow.
Because the one in the other cage had less to worry about.
Right.
The one in the cage that could actually control things to some extent had more ulcers because he didn't have someone else in control, where that other monkey had the boss in control. You know, okay, I'm getting electrocuted right now a little bit, but he has it under control. He has the levers. He can take care of it for me. It's just like if you look at any company, who has the ulcers in the company, the employee or the boss?
Oh, absolutely, the boss. Yeah.
So people really have this deep-needed deep-seated need to have
It's comfortable to think I'm not really responsible for my actions. You know, there's somebody else that is taking care of me and or watching me. But what happens happens is when you become atheist is that it's actually very freeing, because you free yourself from the idea that there's a man in the sky with a wonderful telescope he must have, or a supercomputer.
He's everywhere, but you can't see him. He's like Santa Claus.
He can see what everybody is doing,
he knows when you're naughty, when you're nice.
And once you question all these things and you become atheist, it's very freeing. You know you really are responsible for your actions.
I will say that when I became an atheist, I had to actually think about my morality, because a lot of your morality you get as you're a child, and it's religious based.
Right.
And so the basis of your reality really is that God said so, therefore it's true.
Right.
But when I became an atheist, I had to actually sit back and go, okay, I can't use that excuse anymore. Why is killing bad? Well, because I value other people, I don't like to see them hurt.
Right.
Why is stealing bad? Well, if everyone stole from each other, it would be chaotic for society.
When I was a kid, Eric, I remember that I lived in a very Catholic society, and a lot of the people that I knew that were religious and church-going, they were not nice people. They lied, they were hypocritical, they were mean. And so even as a child, I was questioning all this. You know, there were lots of questions in my mind. And morality really comes from, what your parents teach you, and
what you figure out for yourself.
What you figure out for yourself. Sometimes actually from other mentors you have in your life, or father figures, or even teachers. And of course, the more the saner you are, the more intelligent you are, you understand that every action has a repercussion. Right.
And your morality comes from your experience, and even if you think that you base it in religion, there's also a study that came out fairly recently that said that criminals, they looked at why criminals have religious beliefs to still do their crimes.
Absolutely.
And what they did was just like how everyone rationalizes the Bible verses to what they believe, criminals actually reinterpret it to be what they believe. So that when they stole from someone, it's because they thought that person deserved almost to be stolen from, because they rationalize it. And you get the same type of rationalization in this Awkward Moments Bible from a criminal who's Christian that you do from your personal belief.
Right.
You also see this in politics. People, praying in politics. Here we have, when you pray, don't be the hypocrite who prays in public. And yet people constantly pray in public. I saw one of the rallies we had at Supreme Court. They had all the politicians lined up on the steps, all kneeling, all the head bowed in prayer, and with the cameras on them.
Yeah. We call them sheeple, but
Grace, this is God.
Yes.
In case you didn't realize, this is an election year, and I just wanted to announce my candidacy on your show that I'm running for the office of the President of the United States.
And because you're so powerless, you can't rig the election so you automatically win, right?
Well, that wouldn't be fair, but whoever said I was fair.
But sorry, God, if you want to run for elections, you need to show your face, Actually, nobody sees you.
Actually, he shouldn't. What he told in the Bible, in another one of these illustrations in the Awkward Moments Bible, one I appreciated a lot was, and I can't remember the exact verse for this, but God actually showed him his back side so that he wouldn't show his face, because if you show the face of God, you burn up or something. You're just too awesome.
Excuses.
It's too awesome to show your face, so God can only show his backside.
And I can't do that on public access in violation of the FCC code, so in fact, you know what, I've announced my candidacy. I've crashed your show, and so I'm just going to move on and let you do your thing and continue digging your graves to hell. So have a great day.
Thank you, Doggone.
Thank you very much.
I hope you shave that beard, by the way, that white beard.
Makes you look a little younger without
Exactly.
it. Really. And you have to look good for an election.
Right.
But you know, that's another issue. Is the prayer in politics.
Yeah. I mean, I think all of us, when we see constant, every time there's a tragedy, every time there's an accident, there's even with Ebola virus, people start praying. You know, and I just shake my head because we all know that prayer is as effective as talking to yourself. You know, that's what it is.
It's only effective if you apparently if you write it. You have to have a very sincere prayer. You have to write it out on a Starbucks napkin and put it on the target's car. That way, it becomes more effective that way.
Well, I hope she has a nice rosary. I remember my grandmother with her rosaries. You know,
some of those are pretty nice. You know, they have some pretty fancy stuff.
Yeah, they're pretty. Actually, the Vatican makes a lot of money selling that stuff.
The Vatican makes a lot of money everywhere.
Yeah.
I was recently, even with my, like my late wife, when she had cancer, she actually became more religious.
Oh.
And I just recently mentioned how the Catholic Church actually profited from that too, because they did the funeral, and now their parents thought that was so nice, so they're getting into the Catholic religion.
Right.
And I'm sure a lot of the inheritance is going that way because the parents got a lot of the money during that.
Right.
Not that I'm bitter or anything.
Well, yeah.
But you know what? We actually have a caller today.
Oh, hi, this is Carla from from Alexandria, Virginia. This book sounds phenomenal, and I might have to get it. A couple of things popped into my head listening to you all. For instance, anytime there is like Katrina or whatever,
right.
These nutty religious freaks and that I'm talking about, and the ones that I know happen to be relatives and so on. What's interesting is, Sodom and Gomorrah, or actually even some friends of mine. I'm just shocked. I'm like, wait a minute. So in other words, where you live, you don't have murder, rape, crime, this, that, whatever going on. It's unbelievable. It's because wherever it happened is Sodom and Gomorrah.
Well, can you see my T-shirt?
Let's see. I can barely read the top.
It's like I'm actually an atheist. You know where that quote was from?
No.
From the
Oklahoma tornado. Remember that leveled all the houses?
That's fantastic.
And what was it?
Wolf Blitzer.
Wolf Blitzer came on to interview this nice young lady with her baby in her arms, and was saying, "Oh, this is so tragic. You survived through it. Don't you thank the Lord that you are
saving
saved,
your house,
even though your house was destroyed, you were saved."
House was destroyed.
And she said, I'm actually an atheist.
Oh my goodness!
Took him totally by surprise, because the problem that Wolf Blitzer assumed that living where she lived in the Bible Belt, that she would be one more Christian.
Yep.
And it took him by surprise.
And this shirt takes people by surprise too. I was in a Cracker Barrel yesterday, and I go up to the lady to do my order at Cracker Barrel, and she looks up at me and goes, that shirt kind of caught me by surprise. Yeah, I'm actually an atheist. Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
So you, okay, so you want a table to eat. Okay, what's your name? And
she was all nervous?
She was like,
I've had an experience too. I have a T-shirt too. One is, I think it's God is not real or something.
Right.
And I've been to the gym with it a few times, and I actually had some compliments. The people said, "Well, I like your T-shirt."
Wow.
And my car has a bumper sticker which is "In reason we trust." So playing with a God to trust. Well, a lot of people don't understand it.
Which is, by the way, what I put on all my dollar bills you mentioned earlier.
Right. Yeah. And a lot of people don't really get it. In reason we trust. Maybe she's saying it's good to be reasonable, but a lot of people do. And I always had compliments that people say, I like your sticker. So I never really had any issues with people attacking me in public about it.
But it is interesting how whenever the tragedy, the Oklahoma tragedy, remember the news article? There's one news article from then where they said, I was driving my truck and, suddenly this piece of paper hit my windshield. It was a page from the Bible. And that was his thing, that God was saying he saved this page from the Bible with all the destruction.
See, oh my goodness. They can't understand, okay, I am not a physicist or by any means or whatever. However, if you do try and read or get your head around a lot of things, as time progresses, everything becomes more random.
Oh, it does?
Yes, it does. In other words, they use the example, Einstein and so forth, use the example of if you take marbles and you line the bottom with red, then put a layer of black, then a layer of yellow, whatever. Over time, as it's shaken, the marbles get more random. So they try and find something that has to do with God or godliness or the Bible in everything that happens, bad or good, instead of just saying, life is a lot of random shit. Go ahead and believe me, because it is. It is. Oh, what parents did you get? What genes? Where were you born? What chemicals were you exposed to? What kind of job? Did you have a lousy doctor that screwed you up? Did you inherit a bunch of money? Life is it's such a bunch of random things.
Right.
And I hope you do know, too, like, for instance, during the Middle Ages and many periods of time in history, that animals, if you raped an animal, they would the church would try the animal instead of the guy. Oh God, is that sick or what?
Well, the Bible has never been very kind to animals. All the sacrifices. There's a part in the Bible where the invaders were told specifically to kill all of the foreign men and women, except for the women who are virgins, because they can use them for themselves. Right. But also kill all the animals. It's like, why the animals?
Inferior creatures in their eyes.
My God, I have relatives that don't even realize they swear that the Bible is the first book ever written. Can you believe this? And
it's King James Version. That's the first book.
I try to explain to them about papyrus and various other things, and it's just shocking to me.
And Carla, some people think it was written in English even.
Right.
That's probably true. That's probably true. And I'm going to tell you the interesting thing, like you all were talking about, why do people go to church? I think these are the two reasons that I continually see the first one is so they can get a dress up and strut around.
Right.
That's the damn God.
Right.
Especially in funerals, oh my God. Rent a bunch of limousines and do
It's a social club, Carla.
It's a social
Very
thing.
much so. Religion is just different funny hats for different people.
Right.
But thanks for calling.
Thank you.
That's very relevant.
Okay.
Very
Come
good
back.
call.
Come back.
Please come back. Call in next time.
Okay.
Very much enjoyed talking
and
to
don't
you.
go to church to meet someone. That's the other thing.
Oh.
Right.
Thank you very much. But yeah, she has a good point. I think that's one reason that the church has still remained in business, is that it's become very much a social club.
Oh yeah, especially for the African American community. For them, it's a place where they meet all their friends. They dress up, they sing, and the singing is actually very joyful, very full of life, And then they have, after the ceremony, they go and they eat cookies, and it's something to fill their Sunday.
Yep.
And I understand that. You know, so I understand the social aspect. The only problem that I see is that, unfortunately, these same churches teach people a lot of bigoted views. They influence them politically who they should vote, and that is wrong. And they also, most of evangelical churches and the Pentecostal as well, you know, they show homosexuality as a sin.
Yep. Well, we have actually one more graphic to show you about how to train up a child. And this is funny. This is, why do you refuse to obey God's command? The Lord said you must respect your mother and father. And that's generally true. I do respect my mom and dad.
That's good. Hey,
but I just know too many people whose mom and dads are just not really deserving of respect, especially if the mom and dad would actually drag their kid into church to brainwash them with all this stuff.
Right.
Okay, I mean, I'm being a little too harsh.
For example, I was brainwashed Catholic, and I don't think my parents did that.
You turned out good.
I turned out okay, and I was a very skeptical child. You know, I like to tell my husband actually that when I was 6, my mom told me that I had to pray every night. You know, kneel and thank God for my day. Okay.
That's a scary. I was
only 6 or 7, and then
do you pray the Lord my soul to take prayer thing?
I don't even remember what I had to say.
I just got creeped out by that.
So the first night I did it, you know, thank you God for my day, for this and for that. And the second night I was like, there's nobody listening.
Right.
You know, I just felt, even at a very young age, that there wasn't really anybody out there. No. So
I very much enjoyed this book. I bought it. I was so excited to get it in the mail. And it's like I ripped open, checked to make sure the signature was there.
Are you going to show your daughter that book?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's great.
By the way, I raised 2 atheists daughters. They're adults now, in their 20s.
I'm raising one. She's 3.5. I actually did an interview.
And they turned out wonderfully.
I actually did an interview on my show, The Nondescript Atheist, which, by the way, you can listen to every Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. on radiofairfax.com or on Cox Channel 37.
Invite me one day.
Okay. You have to come up and be a guest sometime. But
So yes, you know, one of the things that I always like to tell people is that you can raise good, moral kids without a trace of religion. You know,
very more moral kids.
And you can actually explain to them about religion. You can tell them the different religions.
Oh, you should. It's part of culture.
Yeah, it's part of culture. They need to know. But at the same time, you don't raise them with all these fables and all these, especially the prejudice side and the fear. You know, I remember that my Catholic upbringing, there was a lot of the element of fear. So if you don't behave, if you do this or that, the God or the devil, you know, somebody's going to do something to you, right?
I'll definitely have to have you on my show sometime, on my radio show sometime. It's been wonderful talking to you here.
Well, thank you. Same here.
So I think that
there's a lot of things to say, and I also want to tell everybody that is watching this that don't be afraid to question. You know, even though everybody in your family might be religious and you're afraid of losing them, they probably love you and unconditionally, and they will understand and accept.
Unless you got to be careful, because some families are so evangelical that if you come out as an atheist, they'll disown you.
Right.
I was lucky myself. You were lucky.
I was lucky, yeah.
And I do encourage anyone to come out if they can.
Right, come out of the closet, the atheist closet.
I think that about wraps up our show. Again, please watch the Nondescript Atheist, 6 to 7 on Thursdays. And we'll see you guys all next week.